Has your child suddenly changed and you're sitting there thinking, what's even happening right now? One minute, they're your snuggly little kid. The next, they're slamming doors, asking deep questions, and just Googling things you weren't so prepared for. And it's hard to know, is it puberty? Is it hormones? Just a phase they're going through? Truth is, there's a lot going on for tweens beneath the surface. And if we don't understand what's happening, it's easy to misread the signs or miss the chance to have conversations that really matter. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through what your 8 to 12-year-old is actually going through physically, emotionally, socially, and cognitively. Because when you really know what's happening developmentally, everything gets easier. The moods, the weird questions, the sudden need for privacy, it all starts to make sense. Now, I've spent more than 2 decades helping parents navigate this stuff, and I promise when you understand what's going on in your tween's world, parenting and sex ed gets a whole lot less daunting. Because if you don't know what's changing, it's hard to meet them where they are, and your child, they can end up feeling misunderstood just when they need you the most. So stick around because at the end, I'm going to share a 1-minute challenge to help you show your tween that you see what's changing and that it's nothing to be ashamed of. What if talking to your tween about sex didn't make you want to run for the hills? On Sex Ed for Tween Parents, we ditch the awkward and keep it real with chats that actually work. I'm Cath Hakanson, sex educator, mum, and your guide to handling all the tricky stuff without cringing or making it weird. So, what's going on with your tween? You might have noticed a need for more privacy or questions about their body. You might hear little tidbits of random crushes or their friends liking someone. You might be noticing big feelings out of nowhere. And maybe you're wondering, is this normal? So let's break it down into 3 stages of development: ages 7 to 9, 10 to 11, and 12 to 14. Now, the themes will stay the same: curiosity, identity, affection, but the way kids express them shift as they grow. So let's look at what happens at the ages 7 to 9. So this is when curiosity begins. So at this age, you might see them touching their genitals or masturbating in private. If they are, it's usually something they might do to help soothe if they've had a stressful day at school, might help them go to sleep, might be something they just do out of boredom, but they will be touching it. A lot of parents will say to me that their child isn't. The thing is, you don't really know. When kids are little, they're a lot more in your face with it because we have to teach them boundaries, that it's a private behaviour. And then they become aware of that, and then it becomes a private behaviour. And often we wouldn't have a clue whether they are or aren't. So some kids are, some kids aren't. Toilet talk is a big thing at this age. So the jokes about poo and wee or pee and body parts or the moaning sound. There's lots and lots of toilet talk at this age. And also lots of curiosity. So questions about their body. What does it mean to be a girl? Gender stereotypes. But also babies and where they come from will also be happening as well. They'll also be still exploring the differences between bodies, often with peers of the same age. So by that, they're still interested to know what genitals look like on different bodies. And I think part of that is just because it's a hidden part of the body that we don't see a lot of. There will be a little bit of playful talk of boyfriends or girlfriends as well. Now, why does this all matter? At this age, it's important to know that they're not being sexual. They're just trying to understand how bodies work and how people connect. So it's a stage that's all about curiosity. And your job isn't to shut it down, it's to guide it. So you help them name their body parts. You answer their questions simply and honestly, and you'll give gentle messages about privacy, consent, body boundaries, and respect as well. Okay. Let's look at the age of 10 to 11, and this is where exploration starts to deepen. So these are some of the things you might see. Masturbation, but now they might be starting to do it more for pleasure because it feels good. There'll be more chats with their peers about sex, gender, pregnancy, and puberty as well. And relationships and friendships will be getting a little bit deeper, and you'll be hearing more about crushes as well. You also might start hearing questions about identity and belonging as well. This is an age where they're trying to fit in with their peers. And initially it starts off as in follow the crowd because it's safer to be part of the crowd than to be separate. So it's very much about working out who they are and where they fit into the world and around their peers as well. So why does all this matter? So this age, I like to think of it as a bridge. So one day they're watching cartoons and then the day they're whispering about who likes who. So it's that age of transition from childhood to adulthood. And they're very much trying to figure out a lot of different things. They're trying to work out what's private, what feels okay, how do they fit into the real world. And this is why sex ed needs to happen now, not later, because they're still listening. They want answers and they're trying to piece together how everything fits in. Let's look at the ages 12 to 14. Now, this is about identity and where intimacy also starts to take shape. So these are some of the things we start to see at this age. And this is where emotional and physical relationships with peers become a lot more real. We'll start seeing masturbation definitely for sexual pleasure. And we'll start hearing more serious conversations about attraction, who they like, gender, stereotypes, and their own identity as well. There'll also be a stage, or this is an age, where they start sharing photos of themselves and start to flirt and communicate online. Phones are very much a part of how young people today communicate, which means that when they start to explore relationships and things like that, they're going to be expressing a lot of that on their devices as well. So lots of selfies and messaging online. There can also be quite big feelings about love, bodies, and boundaries as well. Now, why does all of this matter? So this age group, they're not just curious anymore. They're actually starting to form their own beliefs about who they are, what's okay, what feels good, and what's expected. And they're getting a lot of information from the internet and their peers as well. This is that age where they still turn to us, but as they get closer to 15 plus, that's where they start to find their own answers, where they might turn to the internet or their peers before they turn to us. So this is still a good age to be having these conversations because they're wanting it from us. So your job now, it's about staying connected. It's about keeping the door open, because if you pull away in fear, there's just nowhere else for them to go for this information other than their peers or the internet. But what we know is that if you can stay present and curious, even if you don't have all the answers, you're still going to be their safest place to turn. So what does this mean for you? So these stages, they're about curiosity, exploration, and identity. They're all part of normal or typical healthy development. And the trick's recognizing what's age appropriate so you don't panic or accidentally shame them. And when you know what's normal, you can respond instead of reacting. You can spot the teachable moments so that you can start conversations and you can keep the conversation going at their pace, not yours. Because sex ed, it's not just one big chat, but lots of little chats. And they often start with what your child's already doing or wondering or what they're curious about already. Now, in a minute, I'll give you a challenge that will help you gently acknowledge what your child's going through. And it'll also open the door to more of these chats in the future. So for now, you've got a better sense of what your child is going through. And you might be thinking, yeah, I see what's happening, but how do I say something about it? Or you could be thinking, how do I bring it up without making it weird? And that's where my free guide comes in, 5 cringe-free strategies to naturally start sex ed conversations. Inside, you'll find 5 simple conversation starters that you can use in everyday moments. You'll also find tips keeping things age appropriate and natural, as well as ideas to help you get started tonight without prep, pressure, or panic. And best of all, it's free. Because if you don't start the conversation, our kids turn to TikTok or their friends for answers. And if we do take that first step, even if it's imperfect, we're showing them that they can come to us, that we're open and that they're not alone. So here's what to do next. Head to cringe-free-strategies.com, or you can just click the link in the show notes below to grab it. And you can use one of these ideas tonight, and it might be the start of many helpful chats ahead. Okay, this week's challenge. What I want you to do is pick one change that your child is going through right now. Might be something physical, emotional, or social. And then ask yourself, have I had a conversation with them about this yet? If not, that's your cue. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Sex Ed for Tween Parents. You're showing up for your child in such a powerful way, and I hope you can feel that. Now, if you found this episode helpful, please leave a quick review. It helps other parents find this podcast, and importantly, it also helps them feel less alone too. And don't forget your free guides waiting at cringe-free strategies.com. So grab it, and I'll see you in the next episode. You've got this.